What is good, people? Welcome to another episode of the Undiluted Football Show. I'm your host, Toni Afoke. It has been a while, but we are back here with another show, ready to talk about the latest action in the Premier League. Let's start off with the biggest story. Spurs upset City. 3-2 Spurs against Manchester City at the Etihad. You know what? I was speaking to a Spurs fan just before, and he said, "You know what? I feel like we can do City. I feel like Spurs are not the greatest team, but I feel like we can do City." And I was just like, Spurs and City over the couple of years. I think that Champions League quarterfinal, uh, the Pavlyuchenko one. Spurs and City have had some good games over the couple of years. So like, it's always you never know with Spurs and City. And listen, Harry Kane showed why Pep Guardiola tried to bid 4 times him in the summer. What a game for Spurs. I feel like Harry Kane and Kalefsky and Son had a great performance. And at the end of the day, the better team won. Spurs were clinical in their chances and City just went up to scratch on the day. Now, what does that leave for the title race? Manchester City are 6 points ahead of Liverpool, although Liverpool have a game in hand and they still have to play Liverpool. The title race is back on. You heard it here first. Well, you didn't hear it first. I bet people have been saying it all morning and all day. But the title race is surely back on now. I was even speaking to the creator of this show, Sam, who is a City fan, and texted him. I said, "Mate, title race back on." He said, "Yep," and that's how you got. And just like that, just like because we all thought January it was done. I think City were like 11 points clear. I know Liverpool still had the game in hands, but you just never knew. And I still expect City to win the title, but we now have a race. Whether Liverpool beat the City is another story, and whether they catch up is another thing. But speaking of Liverpool, let's quickly talk about another good win against Norwich. They conceded first actually at Anfield, but dealt with Norwich. Sadio Mane, Mo Salah back from AFCON, back in the goals, and Luis Diaz getting his first goal in front of the Kop was a nice thing for Liverpool fans, I guess. But one thing I will say about this Liverpool team is Jurgen Klopp finally has a squad. I know we all used to banter Liverpool squad depth and say that they don't have good squad depth. People used to say Prison FC has better squad depth than Liverpool. But now you can bring off Luis Diaz off the bench. You can bring Firmino off the bench if Jota's starting, so on and so forth. The other day, they made a triple substitution at San Siro with like Naby Keita, Henderson, and I forgot who the other one was coming on. So Liverpool actually have a squad now for the first time. So we are now going to concede them competing with the likes of City because they can have a squad and they have not as good of a squad as City, but enough players to come in and do the job. We even saw Trent and Robertson were out of the squad against Norwich. Didn't even need them, and they put on Joe Gomez and Shimikas at at fullback. Sorry, and look, they done the business 3-1, simple as. So Liverpool do have a squad. So don't sleep on Liverpool. Don't sleep on Liverpool. But if we're talking title race wise, it's between City and Liverpool. I still think it's in City hands. I know people always say with the title race, who would you rather be, the chaser or the chasee? I would rather be the chase. I'd rather be the chased because this reminds me of, I'm not sure if anyone watching remembers the 08-09 season. It was like this with Man United and Liverpool. And I remember Liverpool always used to play. United were ahead by points. I think it was like 2 points within it. So Liverpool won, then Liverpool would go on top just by a point. But Liverpool would always play first for some reason. United would always play on the Sunday. And I always preferred them playing first because they were chasing us, right? And I think it's harder to chase someone than to be chased in a sense because one is it's not in your hands if you're the chaser. Right now, it's not in Liverpool's hands. It's in their hands if they win their game in hand and they beat City. But at the same time, then again, they're level on points. And I think City have a better goal difference or Liverpool have a better goal difference. I'm not too sure. Let me quickly just verify that. Who has a better goal difference? Oh, it's close. It's only 2. So 46. Okay, so it is close. But as I said, I would rather still be the ones being chased because it's in your hands if you're getting chased, right? I know the pressure on from the chaser and we all saw how Chelsea crumbled under the pressure with City and Liverpool chasing them. But when it's in your hands, you only have yourself to blame, right? In Liverpool's case, being the chaser, you can win every single game. If they don't lose a single game, there's nothing more you can do. So I'd rather have it in my hands. But anyway, let's get on to some more games that happened today. My Man United beat Leeds in the Roses derby. Now, for some people that don't remember United Leeds, Obviously, Leeds have had their stint in the Championship and so forth for a good 14, 15 years. So United Leeds used to be a big derby. It's called the Roses Derby for a reason, the Yorkshire Rose and so on and so forth. So this was the first time that it was played at Ellen Road with fans for God knows how long. And I think Man United fans know that teams we don't like, City, Liverpool, Leeds, we sing about them. I'm not going to say the chants because I'm not going to swear on here, but you know what it is. So it was a really scrappy game. I think like Storm Eunice helped in a sense. A proper scrappy. It was a massive waterlogged pitch. I feel like I was watching a game from like 1998 with like the waterlogged pitches and just mud everywhere. But I felt it was a good game for the occasion. It felt like a proper old school team. You know how Leeds play gung ho constantly. At the end, Man United did win 4-2. I didn't expect Man United to lose, only because when Man United come against Leeds, they play into Manchester United's hands every time. And Leeds, when they play a big team, all you have to do is play your normal game and you win against Leeds, because Leeds, we all know how they play. They're going for you no matter what. They're never going to go for the point. They're never going to go for the draw. They're never going to sit back and wait for you to try to break them down. They're going to go at you as if they're the home team. Well, they were the home team in this sense, but they're going to go at you as if you're the better team. And if you have better players, it kind of falls your way, right? And we've seen it with Man United, how they beat them 6-2 at Old Trafford last season, 5-1 at Old Trafford this season, and then again 4-2. So it wasn't that much of a great game. But one thing I will say about Man United quickly, some good positives out of it. Jadon Sancho really coming into feet now, had 2 assists, could have had way more if people finished their chances. But again, 2 assists, a goal in his last, not in the last game, but the game before that. He's starting to come to his own now. And I feel like he's answered a question in a sense that we bought him to be our right winger, but he's answered the question and said, you know what? He's much better off the left, and we've seen it now. He looks very comfortable on the left hand. Another man in the match performance today. But Jadon Sancho is really coming in to find his own, because he did struggle at the start of the season and he was in and out of the team. But right now, he's looking like one of the first names on the team sheet down the left-hand side. What does that mean for Marcus Rashford? We don't know, because we feel like Marcus Rashford's best position is on that left wing as well. But right now, Jadon Sancho's got that on lock. Rashford doesn't look as good up front or on the right as he does on the left, hence why he was an unused sub today. So it's a problem for Man United. There's no good problem, but it's a problem that isn't that bad. Like, it's where do you fit Marcus Rashford in his team? Whether he comes off the bench and beats a super sub, who knows? But Jadon Sancho's got that left on lock now, and I'm happy for him. He's starting to really show light up the Premier League, and if he carries this on, he could be one of the best wingers in the league for years to come. So next, we're going to go on to another team who's third, just chilling. Maybe within the top 4 race. I don't think they're in the top 4 race, but they're not in the title race, so they're just there, which is Chelsea. Last-minute winner from Hakim Ziyech to get all the 3 points. But I feel like one of the worst things about that game was not the winner. Chelsea won 1-0 at the end of the day, so they got the 3 points at Selhurst Park. But shocking performance from Romelu Lukaku, who touched the ball 7 times in a game. In a full game of 90 minutes, he touched the ball 7 times, and one of those times was kickoff. So really and truly an open play, he kicked off. He touched the ball 6 times. Not even had 6 chances on goal, 6 shots in general, just touched the ball 6 times. I feel like that is a concern for not only Lukaku, but for Chelsea as well. I don't think you can sign 100. I think we have both to blame for that game. I know people are quick to blame Lukaku, and people know my views on Lukaku, which I'm not going to go into, because he was my striker for 2 years, so I could have told you exactly what was going to happen. But I feel like this is kind of Chelsea's fault. And the reason I'm going to say this is Chelsea's fault is because you cannot sign a player for £100 million and not cater towards that. It just makes you look stupid. And we saw how he played in Serie A. We all thought that Serie A Lukaku was going to come in. The difference between that Serie A Lukaku is, 1, he played with Lautaro Martinez. So he played with a second striker. 2, a lot of his goals were in transition. And Chelsea is set up so tactically that they just move the ball constantly. They don't really beat you in transition. They just move the ball. They set up at the back really well. Have the wing backs. It hasn't helped with, obviously, the absence of Reece James and Chilwell. But they set up really well, and they just move the ball constantly from left to right. And that doesn't really cater to Lukaku's game. Like, Lukaku's not there to help you break down teams. Lukaku's not going to run in behind all the time. I'm not saying he can't run in behind, but he's not that type of player. And listen, we saw in his interview, and we've seen quotes of him saying that the style of the manager doesn't suit him. So I feel like, listen, 7 touches in a football game is not great for a professional football, regardless of what tactic you're playing. I think that's atrocious. I feel like even if you're playing Sunday League and you've played 90 minutes of football and you've only touched the ball 7 times, you can't say that you've had a good game and you can't blame the team. Some of it has to be on you. However, you do have to look at this in the sense that what is next for Thomas Tuchel and Lukaku, because you signed a player for 100 million. You gave him the whole homecoming H to the OV thing when he signed, and he's not living up to the expectation, but you're not even helping him in the sense that you're not catering to his needs, and you can't sign a player for 100 million and not necessarily build a team around him, because he wasn't there for him to be built around. He was there as seen as the missing piece to win the league, but clearly that's not worked, and it's either going to be Lukaku or Tuchel. And we've seen this at Chelsea before, where the board goes for the player rather than the manager. But I feel like Tuchel has enough clout and enough trophies in his year span of Chelsea for them to pick Tuchel over Lukaku. Now, I'm not sure what Mourinho's going to do. I don't speak for Chelsea, but if they sell Lukaku, he's just not going to look great. And who's going to buy him now on the wages he is and the money that they want for him? So it's not really a good sign for both Lukaku and Chelsea. But I feel like right now, in this situation, the board would rather prefer Tuchel because, one, he's delivered you just a Club World Cup recently. You're in a League Cup final next week. And last but not least, he won you your Champions League. So I feel like when it comes to Chelsea stocks, Tuchel has way more in the bag than Lukaku right now. Whether they sell Lukaku is a different story, but something needs to change, because it's not right how a player can have. So I think that's the worst, least touches of any player since they started recording stats. I remember I saw that stat, which I think is crazy enough. And for a £100 million player, I think that's ridiculous. So I feel like both are to blame in a sense. I'm not going to fully put the blame on Lukaku there. A lot of the blame is on Lukaku for you touching the ball 7 times. That's atrocious, but Chelsea are not helping. But anyway, enough about Lukaku. Let's get on to Arsenal. They beat Brentford 2-1. They're looking decent, Arsenal. Then again, it is Brentford. I saw Lacazette give a cheeky little tweet saying a good kick about with the boys. For those that don't know, the context is when the first game of the season, when Brentford beat Arsenal, Ivan Toni decided to tweet a little cook about with the boys, and clearly that rattled Lacazette and the Arsenal fans. So the Arsenal players, sorry. This is the thing with top 4 right now. The top 4 race is quite heavy. As a Man United fan, I expect Man United to get into top 4. I feel like we have a better squad. The reason I don't think West Ham are going to get top 4. They played the same games as Man United now, and now 4 points in 5th. Arsenal do have 3 games in hand against Man United, and they sit 4 points away. However, those 3 games in hand are against Chelsea, Wolves, and Liverpool. All 3 teams that are not better. 2 teams that are better than Arsenal, or 1 team that is 2 points away from Arsenal, trying to reach that top 4 as well. So we've got to realise that it's not done yet. And Arsenal are now in the same boat that Man United once were, where Man United were saying, we're in the top 4 race because we've got all these games in hand, but we didn't capitalise. It's harder to say, I have these games in hand, and then actually just have points in the bag. You'd rather have your points in the bag. And unfortunately, Arsenal's games in hand are against hard teams. So it's not ideal for Arsenal right now. My favourite to be top 4 is Man United. I feel like they create enough chances and have enough firepower to get those wins. Arsenal don't create enough chances for me. Yes, they beat Brentford 2-1 yesterday, but it is Brentford. They should be doing that. You are Arsenal Football Club. And secondly, Lacazette and Nketiah, I don't feel like that's a strike force that's going to fire you into Champions League. It won't be the end of the world if Arsenal don't get Champions League. It'll be a missed opportunity, 100%. But really and truly, I think their first objective was to get back into Europe and not necessarily the Champions League. What is the point of Arsenal making the Champions League if they're just going to get knocked out back into Europa League? So I don't really expect. Maybe they could reach second in the group, but then again, they're going to get knocked down in the round of 16. So honestly, I don't expect Arsenal to reach top 4. I expect them to be in the top 6, and I feel like the top 6 for Arsenal will be a good season. considering they finished 7th. That is progress, in my opinion. But who knows? Who knows whether they do win their games in hands? I don't know. But they've got Wolves during the week. They've got Spurs. That's a game in hand, and they've got Chelsea, which is another game in hand. So not the easiest of games in hands to go against. But looking forward to next week. Champions League is continuing. I think Chelsea are playing Lille. Should be all right. I feel like Chelsea will deal with Lille. No disrespect to Lille. They are the French champions, but I feel like Chelsea will have enough in their locker to deal with Lille. And on the Wednesday night is Atletico Madrid versus Manchester United. It was good for Manchester United to win this game, go into some momentum, because they have a really tough run of fixtures now. In March, they have Atletico Madrid, then Watford, then City away, Liverpool away, Tottenham home, Atletico Madrid within that as well. So they've got a lot of big games coming up, Manchester United. So it was good for them to get that win today. Atletico Madrid have not been looking that good. Therefore, it's not going to be... It's kind of in favour of Man United right now. I know Man United have not been the greatest of teams, but they got that win today. Atletico Madrid have not been good recently. They have a lot of COVID cases. I think Yannick Carrasco is out for both legs of the case as well. I heard some news about Joao Felix as well. So who knows? Who really knows? It's Simeone versus Ranić. Simeone will try and set up shop. We know how he plays the most negative football ever with that tacky 4-4-2. But we'll see. We'll see if Man United can break them. Well, this is the thing. It kind of plays into Atletico's hands because Atletico are so hard to break down. And one thing we know Man United can't really do is break down teams. It's whether Atletico try and play football, Man United get them on the counter. That's how I see the game will be won. But there's no away goals in the Champions League right now, so who knows? If Man United take it back to Old Trafford, it could be anyone's game. But we'll see. We've got a lot of Champions League games coming up, and we'll talk about them next week on the Undiluted Football Show. But thank you so much for watching another episode. You can like, share, subscribe, comment. If you don't agree with my opinions, by all means, I'd love to chat. I'd love to chat, and I'd love to tell you why you're wrong. But you can like, share, subscribe, follow Undiluted Media 1 on Twitter. I've been your host at Toni Afoke. You can at me there. There we go. Got there at the end there as well. Until next time, people.